All right, that was a little bit earlier on the show. Well, now I can say that the Opposition Leader, Tony Abbott, joins us here in Canberra this morning. Good to see you, Tony. Thank you for your time this morning.
Nice to be with you, Karl.
I guess you could say literally it's broke. How are you going to fix it?
Well, you're right. Last year the Treasurer said there would be 4 years of surpluses. No surplus this year, no surplus next year, no surplus year after that. There will never be an honest surplus under this government.
So how are you going to fix it? I mean, it's easy to sit back and go, well, this is what they've done wrong, and this is what long term we're going to do about it. But it's very hard in the nitty gritty, in the minutiae of the next couple of years, to work out exactly what you're going to do to fix it.
Well, we'll start by being honest. We won't make promises that we don't keep, and how many promises were made in last year's budget that never even survived till this year's budget? We won't do that. And as far as is humanly possible, we won't get things wrong like the carbon tax revenue, because we'll abolish that. We won't get the mining tax revenue wrong, because we'll abolish that. And when we say we're going to spend money on things like WestConnex, we'll spend it within 12 months of getting in. We won't spend it in 5 or 6 years' time.
Do you reinstate things like the baby bonus?
Well, we want to carefully look at this budget. We don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction. That's what the government does. They have knee-jerk reactions to win a headline. We want to look at it like adults, and you'll see our response unfold in the budget reply tomorrow night, and then in Joe Hockey's address to the press club next week.
2016-17, is that something you'd be working towards in terms of a surplus? It's okay to again be critical of them because they haven't had a surplus, but will you return to surplus by 2016-17? Will you guarantee that once you've had a look at the figures?
Karl, we want to get back to surplus as quickly as possible, because the government was right last year when they said that going back to surplus was a sign of good policy. Unfortunately, we haven't had good policy because we're not back to surplus. So we'll get back as quickly as possible. But we do need to study this carefully. It's like an onion. The budget, you've got to peel back every layer, and then you get to the bottom of it, and then you're in a position to say exactly what you'll do.
There's been a lot talked about in terms of the age, the settled age of entitlement being over. It's been talked about, especially over the last 24 hours. But how do you find the savings when things are so much in the red? How are you going to do that? How are you going to continue to spend on big ticket projects when you haven't got any money to spend?
Well, we've announced a number of very significant savings. We're not going to continue the so-called school kids bonus, because that's a cash splash with borrowed money with nothing to do with education. We're going to reduce by natural attrition the size of the Commonwealth public sector by at least 12,000.
There's still a lot more to find.
Stopping the boats will save something like a $10 billion budget blowout. We're not going ahead with the humanitarian intake because it's the people smugglers who are picking those future Australians. Now, there are substantial savings there, and we'll have more to say about this in coming weeks.
I've got to say, Tony, look, one thing is, first term of government, let's say you're there. One of the things is it seems as though Australia's got a structural problem. We've had a blip in our terms of trade. All of a sudden, we've got this hole in the budget. Are you prepared to really grasp the nettle for genuine change in our tax system, in our industrial relations system in particular, to try and make Australia a more efficient country?
Well, Ross, tax reform starts with abolishing the carbon tax. That will go. It continues with abolishing the mining tax. That will go. It continues with a modest company tax cut, and that's certainly something that we want to deliver. So tax reform is very important.
But that doesn't make Australia competitive, though. It needs much more than that.
It helps. These are very substantial steps in the right direction. There's no one single thing that you do to make our country competitive. There are a series of things that you do, and there are 3 that we will do.
So would you commit to a tax overhaul once you're in government?
What we said going into the last election is that we would have a comprehensive look at things, provided we got things lower, simpler and fairer. We'll have more to say about this in the days and weeks and months ahead, Ross.
Tony, we'll let you move on. Thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Opposition Leader Tony Abbott. Plenty more to come.